Hello, this is Vox Evening News, brought to you from London. I'm Keisha Gitari. People were lying on the ground and there was blood everywhere. This is how one survivor described the horrific scenes of Friday's attack in Burkina Faso, the deadliest in the West African nation by far, and the first in the capital of Ouagadougou.
C'est horrible parce que
It was horrible because everyone was panicking. They were shooting people at point-blank range. The noise of the detonation was really loud.
African comedy is still quite a novelty in some spheres, and then we have you, a female, quite successful comedian. Have you faced any challenges in your journey because you're a woman?
I'm thinking the challenges I face in doing comedy are just about the same challenges the gentlemen face. If anything, since there are fewer female comedians, then I probably have an advantage somehow because I don't have a big competition.
I want to ask you about your assessment of the music industry and music coming out of the continent at the moment. I mean, I'm sure you've heard all the different genres and types. What are your thoughts?
Well, I must say that, I've been in the music industry for 31 years. And it's been just amazing. Anne was not even born. You were not even born.
I.
Exactly. And but for me, I'm just so happy that music has evolved. But what makes me even happier now is that we as Africans are starting to understand each other.
If either of you could talk to your younger selves, what advice would you give a young Anne, a young Yvonne starting out, having gone through everything you've gone through so far and all that you've learned?
Well, I've learned a lot. I've learned to be very humble in the music industry. I think once you learn to be humble and have your feet firm on the ground, God will raise you.
The time to invest in Kenya is now. These were the words of Kenya's central bank governor Patrick Njoroge as he addressed delegates at this year's Kenya-UK Trade and Investment Forum. The annual gathering, which had its maiden event in 2013, was back in London today, bringing together politicians and captains of industry with the goal of selling Kenya to potential investors. Following the closure of the Zucht gold mine in Johannesburg, some 1,700 workers lost their livelihoods, and the town, which for more than 60 years was home to one of South Africa's richest gold deposits, saw the mine site overrun by looters and decay. We have more in this report.
Left with nothing, Nkutu used to work at a gold mine southwest of Johannesburg. But 4 years ago it was shut down overnight.
Recently launched a modern slavery campaign. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and what you hope it's going to achieve?
So essentially the new campaign, and we're piloting it with the Nigerian community, which is why we're here today to promote it, is essentially to support and raise awareness within the community about domestic servitude.
The Migration Museum is not the first attempt to focus on immigrant stories. London already has a museum of migration and diversity, and in 2016 a show called London Stories told the tales of people who made new lives in the city. But the museum could be the most ambitious of projects, as its permanent presence promises to be a home for the many narratives of people forging new lives in Europe's most diverse city. Members of a teenage robotics team from Burundi who went missing after a competition in Washington last week have been found and are safe. Washington's Metropolitan Police Department on Tuesday said the teens, aged 16 and 17, were spotted last week crossing the border into Canada. Kunta Kinte is an iconic character. I mean, people say Kunta Kinte all the time in many different contexts. How did you prepare to play such a big role?
Man, how do you prepare for something like this? The journey that he goes on is horrible and epic, and it's far beyond anything I've ever experienced.
Do you think that it's important that as Africans and as Afro people, we tell this story and not be ashamed of this particular part of our history?
Yes, definitely. I mean, first of all, this story roots is not about slavery, and it's in the name. This is about our roots, which predate slavery. But also, there is this stigma attached to slavery, especially African slavery, that I don't feel that as African people we have come to peace with yet. And I don't think it's something to be ashamed of. We survived it. We are a strong people that survived slavery, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, that's something to be proud of.
Well, that's all from the Vox News team and myself tonight. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. See you then. Goodbye.